We are back. It's Believe in Georgia Dogs on the Believe Podcast Network, and we've got an exciting show. Got a lot to talk about. Let's get it. All right. Happy Tuesday evening. It is the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. I am Corey Burton. Hopefully joining me later after his stint as the middle school version of Bobby Cox down in South Georgia. It will be Israel Troop. If not, we'll catch up with him later on in the week. But we got a lot to talk about here on the show. First of all, we are presented by betonline.ag. Your number one source for all your sports wagering needs. If you want to bet it, betonline.ag has it. The NBA is in full swing. Super Bowl. Hopefully you made a lot of money on that. But they've got NBA, MLB right around the corner, NHL if you know how to bet on hockey, college basketball, and, of course, college baseball as well. Just kicked off. So lots to bet on. They have online casino as well if you're into that kind of thing. Blackjack is my favorite game. So make sure you check that out. But what you need to do is go to the website betonline.ag and use the promo code BET. Use the code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Betonline.ag, it's where the game starts. So, lots to talk about. Like I said, lots of news. The headline of the show, obviously, Bryan McClendon, the most recent thing, he leaves to take the wide receiver / passing game coordinator job for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think, honestly, a big loss for Georgia. They were, well, it seemed like they finally kind of found their groove under Bryan McClendon. I mean, the receivers improved drastically. There was a lot of guys coming in from the portal. They were starting to kind of pick up the recruiting in that position, had a lot of guys on board. But he is, again, searching for the NFL. And honestly, there's a lot of reasons why, I think. And part of it is probably pay. Part of it's probably title. And part of it's probably partly due to the NFL schedule. And when you look at the NFL schedule, I don't blame these guys. There's a lot of college coaches in the last couple of seasons that are going to the NFL, that are jettisoning over there for a better schedule, cleaner, whatever. And it's just more regimented. It's more structured. And I've said that on previous shows. The NFL is just more structured in what they do. And college football, man, it's a grind now with NIL and transfer portal the way it is, and having to recruit your own roster as hard as you're recruiting high school kids, and as much as you're evaluating transfer portal guys. It's brutal, man. It's not for the faint of heart. So when you look at those kind of things, you have to realize that it is, it takes its toll on people. And if you're not seeing that upward movement that you think you need to be seeing or that you want to be seeing, why not opt for a little bit easier of a schedule, probably a pay raise, and go. So I'm super excited for Coach McClendon. I think he's going to do well for the Bucs. I hate that he went to the Bucs as a Falcons fan, speaking just from a fan's perspective. But no, I'm genuinely happy that he got his shot in the NFL. I think he's a phenomenal coach. Like I said, had a lot of good relationships on the recruiting trail in both stints at Georgia. I thought he did great in the other stops that he's been at with South Carolina, Oregon, and I believe that's it. But, I worked alongside him very briefly when I was in the recruiting office. He was he was at the time I was graduating and transitioning out as a student assistant. He was transitioning in as a GA under Coach Richt. So he did he was somebody I talked to pretty frequently about recruits or potential preferred walk-ons and things, because as the recruiting film director, I was kind of that first line of eyes on guys. The big names, you didn't need to like filter out through their stuff. I a lot of what I did was day to day was filter through the recruiting bins, and I would go ask BMAC is what we called him. I would go ask BMAC, like, hey, what do you think of this guy? Or, hey, what do you think of that guy? I put some guys in the system, some receivers, let me know what you think, stuff like that. So I developed a pretty good relationship with him. I'm curious to know if he still remembers who I am. I know he had a very positive impact on me and made a really good impression on me. So hats off to you, Coach McClendon. If you're listening to this, I hope that you are. Kill it in the NFL, even if you have to beat the Falcons, I guess so be it. I want you to excel and thrive in the National Football League, and I think you'll be a really, really good fit in a growing league. So, like I said, I think Israel's set to join here in a little bit. I'm excited. Hopefully, he does. He is finishing up a baseball games and stuff like that. He coaches middle school baseball at this moment. We'll update you on his current coaching situation, because I think there's some stuff going on with him. So I'll let him update you on that either today or Thursday. Hopefully it's fairly soon. The comments are up. If you want to join in on the show, if you want to be a part of the show, make sure you drop a comment. We are live at this moment, so make sure you drop a comment, and we'll be sure to get a hold of you. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that at Believe in Dogs on social media. Find us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. So check us out there. The goal is going to be to make more episodes, probably more frequently. So that's the goal, and I'm going to try to deliver that. And it may look a little different with the way that things are going. In Israel's coaching career, things might be ramping up. He had his third child as well, him and his wife. So congrats to them on that. So that may eat up some more time. So we'll have to kind of adjust, but I do want to give you more content and things. So that's going to be kind of how we do it. And I'll update you guys as that goes. So here's some potential candidates. Now, I went on Twitter and said, hey, look, we need to go hire Terrence Edwards. The guy is, and I'm going to ask Israel about this as soon as I see him, whenever that may be. I want Terrence Edwards. I think Terrence Edwards should be considered. I don't know if Terrence is interested at all. I don't know what his interest level is, or if he's talked to anybody in regards to that. I don't know where he stands. I think he would be a great fit, whether he wants it or not. I think he would be a great fit. I don't know if he wants that schedule. But he is very tapped in the state of Georgia in recruiting. He is very tapped into a lot of these top guys. I think he's somebody that played at an extremely high level at the university. One of the best receivers in Georgia football history, and one of my favorites. I think he, I only overlapped with him for one year. My freshman year was his last year, and that was. That team, that 02 team, was a lot of fun to watch. I was just a freshman student assistant there. I didn't know which way was up at that point. My head was spinning in a lot of different directions, but Terrence Edwards was extremely fun to watch. So I don't know if he's a legitimate candidate. I think he should be. And he just took the head football job at Pace Academy, I think, or Mount Perrin, one of those two. I'll have to look that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll get that information here pretty soon. But looking at some of the other candidates, you have Joe Cox, who Israel knows very, very well. Had a really good connection with him. Played quarterback at Georgia and was a part of Mike Bobo's staff at Colorado State and South Carolina. He had just gotten hired as a tight ends coach at Ole Miss. I'm sure that Ole Miss will miss him, but Joe Cox coming in to to coach wide receivers would be good. I don't know if they would shift some things around, but they would try to figure some things out. But I think he'd be a good fit. I think he's a good coach. I think he obviously understands what Mike Bobo wants to do. He understands the culture in Athens for sure. I think he'd be a good recruiter. He was good enough to be hired by Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban outside of Mike Bobo. So there's no doubt that he has some sort of coaching. Coaching acumen if he's hired by those guys. And a lot of people were like, well, it's Joe Cox. He was a mediocre quarterback. What can make him that playing and coaching are really two super separate things, right? I didn't play college football, but I feel like I'm a pretty successful coach because like you have to have this analytical mindset and be able to diagnose things and be able to relay that to guys who are much better talent-wise than you are or was ever. And for a guy like Joe Cox, I don't think him being able to see the game, him being able to read coverages and understand tendencies and the things that go into coaching, I don't think he had problems with those. I just don't think he was as physically gifted as he needed to be. And injuries played a part in that and some other things played a part in that. But I just don't think he was quite there. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. I mean, he was a starting quarterback at the University of Georgia, something that I wasn't. So I can't knock his talent too much. But comparatively was I don't think he was as good as Aaron Murray and those guys or Matt Stafford prior to that. So, but a really productive guy, has been an outstanding coach, and I think the point is, I think is if he lands in Athens, I think that would be considered a really good hire, especially at this juncture. Hines Ward is somebody that's expressed interest in coaching. He has a gig in the XFL, so he has been a head coach in the XFL. He has gotten a little bit of coaching under his belt. I don't know that he's ready for the recruiting aspect of it. I don't know if he knows exactly what he's getting into. That's more of like a risk. That's a risky hire, but well, it would be, as far as namesake goes, he's also one of the top wide receiver names in UGA history. So probably one of the most decorated as far as being a Super Bowl champion and all that good stuff, and having an extremely long career in the NFL in Pittsburgh. For him, I just see him as more of an NFL guy, more of a professional coach, honestly. I think he would do really well in the NFL because he has that mindset, and I think he's somebody that's been in the NFL long enough and in enough NFL circles that wouldn't shock me if eventually he ended up on Mike Tomlin's staff in Pittsburgh. That would be a good hire too. So, but Hines Ward's a name to look out for. I'd be interested to see kind of how he does on the non-football related stuff that he has to do. Just getting used to that schedule. Brandon Streeter would be a natural fit to slide up. He's currently an analyst right now. He has experience with all positions except for offensive line. He's the passing game coordinator and offensive coordinator as well. He did a lot of that at Clemson. He's somebody that can come in and do some great things at that position. And he's somebody that can just slide right up, and then Georgia can take their time hiring an analyst behind him. So that's somebody that would be interesting to see what happens there. James Coley, no thanks. I don't think that's a good idea. And nothing against James Coley. I just don't think his stint in Athens went that well. I don't know that. I just don't know. Maybe his South Florida recruiting prowess is something to be looked at. I don't know, but I think I would rather see if there's some other candidates out there first before he came on board. So that's something to go on. Josh Crawford from Georgia Tech. He's somebody that is he's somebody that's interesting. He's somebody that's tapped into the Georgia high school scene. Um, and Lonnie Galloway from UNC is somebody to keep an eye on. Kelsey Pope from Tennessee. He's he's been at Tennessee since he came with Heupel. He's been at Gardner Webb, Tennessee Tech, Shorter, and Ohio Northern. So he's been kind of kicking around in the lower levels there. Lonnie Galloway's been a wide receivers coach at West Virginia. He has been at Wake Forest, back at West Virginia, Louisville. He's been at North Carolina since 2021. Came in with Mac Brown. He's passing game coordinator right now, assistant head coach and wide receivers. He is somebody that Todd Monken looked into a few years ago. So that would be an interesting name. So I'm definitely intrigued by that for sure. So keep an eye out on some of these names, and I think you're going to find some guys that are intriguing. So we'll keep you up to date as far as that goes. In any sort of breaking thing, we'll kind of let you know what's going on. But BMAC going to the NFL, man, it's phenomenal. Good for him, and I'm sure Kirby will find a capable replacement. But I would give Terrence Edwards a shot and just kick the tires on it and see what's up. Guy can coach. I mean, guy's a good coach. Guy's a good trainer. He's, I don't think the transition to college would be that big of a deal. I think he's kind of already in the recruiting stuff. So I just don't think it's a big deal. So it's going to be interesting for sure. Kelsey Pope, I think, is somebody who's I think he's somebody that's gaining some steam. So keep an eye out for that. Don't think it's James Coley, and we're good with that, right? So, yes, that's interesting. But some other interesting stuff happening in football. I think another coach that I think is firmly very comfortable right now. Hopefully, he's comfortable because if we lose him, that would be a big blow. But Todd Hartley, man, crushing it. He is absolutely crushing it in the transfer portal. Welcome to Athens. Benjamin Yurosek, right? So you have to ask yourself, first of all, who is Benjamin Yurosek? And second of all, what do we expect from him? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to expect from him. He's going to be he's going to give you a lot of athleticism, man. I'm excited about this. I think he can, he can do a lot, man. He is somebody that runs really good routes. I think he's somebody. Now, obviously Brock Bowers is probably one of the best tight ends to ever come through UGA. So I think it's something that you can't really say like, oh, he's going to be the next Brock Bowers. I don't think that's fair, but he is definitely somebody that I'm excited about because he is super, super athletic. He's always open. He's a good blocker. He's somebody that is just a dynamic athlete, man. And I can't wait to see what happens to this offense, man. There's a lot of star power. I mean, you look at his stats over the past 3 years, he's caught 108 balls for 1,300 yards, which is great for a tight end. He led Stanford in receiving in 2021 with 658. He is, he's somebody that is, the word versatile, right? So I don't know what's up with these Bay Area tight ends that Georgia's getting, but they're good. So he's coming off an injury, so that's something that Ron Course and his staff will have to contend with. But they're just getting. I think they're getting a really, really solid guy, man. That's going to make an impact. He can run the ball like Bowers did, and the way Georgia uses tight ends, I think, is something that will allow him to flourish and put some good tape out there for the NFL. Yurosek, he's going to join in with Oscar Delp, Lawson Lucky, and Pierce Sperlin as guys that are going to get a lot of run. I think a lot of people are probably like, Oscar Delp, what about him? Well, what about him? They're going to, Georgia likes to use 12 personnel. They like to rotate tight ends in and out. They like to go a lot of different things. So I'm pretty confident that this won't affect Oscar Delp whatsoever. And this will only add a lot of oomph to the offense, and an offense that doesn't lack in star power, to be honest. The transfer guys are going to be fun to watch in the spring. Colby Young, London Humphreys are going to be extremely fun to watch. Michael Jackson is going to be extremely fun to watch. See them join up with Ra Thomas and Dominic Lovett. See them kind of flourish in this offense. Carson Beck coming back is a huge move, and unfortunately, the three-peat didn't happen. But this team is poised to. This team is poised, man. This team is poised to make a freaking run, dude. And I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. And so this is going to be you buckle up, because this is going to be a fun ride. So welcome to Athens, Benjamin Yurosek. This is going to be fun. All right. This is going to be fun. So this team is going to be exciting to watch, and we're going to do more and more and more on football here as we go. So before I wrap up, baseball is absolutely crushing it right now. And when I say they're absolutely crushing it, they had a home series sweep against UNC-Asheville, which it just crushing the ball all over the place. You had pitching, you had good pitching. You just like it looked like watching them at the plate, they had an approach. I thought Wes Johnson did a good job of using the bullpen. I thought, the lineup was set pretty good. Everybody had pretty good plate discipline, and these guys look like they've been working on hitting and not just flailing at pitches. Their pitch selection was good, and they were driving the baseball. And that's what you want to see out of a baseball team. And yes, they were playing UNC-Asheville, and yes, earlier tonight, they absolutely destroyed Georgia State 15-0, right? And they tied a school record, hitting 6 bombs. But it's a team that's, well, they're hot right now. Wes Johnson is really good, and they have consistent energy. It doesn't matter the opponent, and it seems like the standard is the standard. That's going across a lot of sports. Basketball, unfortunately, just isn't there at the end of these games. But again, much improved from a year ago. But Charlie Condon, going back to baseball, he was on fire. They clobbered 10 home runs in the first 3 games. He was 10 for 14 to start the year. Slade Alford, as the leadoff hitter, has been really, really good. Logan Jordan. It's been all about the bats right now, and the pitching has kind of followed a little bit. But the pitching is going to shake out. You're going to see the pitching really kind of shape out over the course of the season. But Jarvis Evans, he's going to be good. Tyler McLaughlin, Zach Harris, Daniel Padisak, DJ Radke, and Luke Wiltrakis. I love these names, dude. These names are tripping me up, dude. So you're going to see a lot of that, and you're going to see a lot of Georgia baseball. I think this is a loaded conference, man. You got Vanderbilt, LSU, Tennessee, Florida, Ole Miss. All those teams are outstanding in this league. And that's not to say like Arkansas, South Carolina are pretty good. Kentucky's usually pretty squirrely. Missouri, not so much, but it's the SEC, so you never know. Mississippi State won the Natty a few years back, the year after Ole Miss did. So like you can't count any of these teams out. So like Georgia is off to a hot start, which is great. But they've got to keep it up consistently, and they've got to kind of win. But it's all about the mentality, man, and it's a mentality that honestly we haven't seen in Athens in quite some time. So keep that in mind. That's going to be fun. Lastly, the Georgia basketball. I don't know, man. It's hard to really kind of judge Georgia basketball because they've been turning the ball over a lot lately. They've been struggling, faltering down the stretch in a lot of their games lately. They had a lead on Florida, probably should have won on Saturday, but 10 second half turnovers is not something that's going to help them win a game, especially on the road. Not going scoreless for over 10 minutes. It's also something, but they've been on a tough skid here of late. But again, it's one of those teams that's like they haven't played a whole lot together. The chemistry is still kind of iffy at times, and it shows. The inexperience of playing together shows, and that's not necessarily a knock. It's not a great thing, but it's one of those things where they are playing really well at times, but like they just have these rough patches that they're just crippling, and they got themselves in trouble. So defensively, get this stat: Georgia's 24-1 when holding its opponents to less than 70 points during Mike White's tenure. So that's actually pretty cool. Some positives though: Noah Thompson had 26 points against Florida. He leads Georgia with 16 double-digit point totals. Jabari Abdur-Rahim, he has the most 20-point outings with 4. Silas DeMary Jr., he is the only freshman in the SEC to start every game this season. He's averaging 8.5 points per game. This is, you hate to have this big losing streak, right? But there's a lot of good within it, and a lot of things that a lot of Georgia basketball fans have not seen in quite some time, which is like very good, solid team basketball. And that's tough to say on the heels of such a kind of a bad losing streak where, you're just not sure like why this team looks as bad as they do. But this team is drastically improved. I think the mindset has improved. I think there's some energy in Stegman Coliseum. I think there is some new life that's being breeded within this program. I think things are heading in the right direction. They'll get a chance to kind of get back on track tomorrow night at Memorial Gym in Nashville against Vandy, because Vandy is the worst team in the league, and it shows. So this will be a good get well game for them. I think when you kind of look at it, that's what it's going to be. So I'm excited to see what the future of this basketball program. Lots of good things going on. They just get on the same page sometimes, right? And a lot of it is ball movement, taking bad shots, just being selfish, hurrying, rushing shots, not playing the shot clock the way you need to, especially with the lead. Turning the ball over never helps because once teams get on, especially on the road, once the home team gets on a run, it's hard to stop, and it's like an avalanche. And this is like the SEC is a really talented league in just about every sport now. And there's no sport where you're like, well, the SEC just doesn't take that sport seriously. That used to be the case for basketball. not anymore. So you've got, you get teams that'll pounce on you if you let them. And turning the ball over certainly doesn't help. So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But we're going to leave that right there. I think Israel's still in the bottom of the ninth here. I think they're getting ready to go into extra innings. He's making a pitching substitution now as we speak. He's calling in the lefty from the pen, and they're going to try to close this thing out. So I absolutely have no clue what's going on in this game. But I'm going to try to catch up with him later on this week, and we're going to talk about. Unfortunately, probably we're talking a lot about the same topics. I want to ask him about BMAC going to the NFL, some of the candidates, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll probably do a bigger breakdown of Benjamin Yurosek and what he brings to the table. So I was kind of saving a little bit of that for him because I think him and I bouncing ideas off each other when it comes to analysis is going to be what you guys probably actually want to hear, and scheme-wise how they're going to use him. So stay tuned for that. So probably a little extra juice on that. And then just some recruiting stuff and some baseball notes and things like that. And we'll get this thing cooking. So, but anyway, I want to thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you find us on social media. Hopefully you find us on YouTube, subscribe. We're like this close to being monetized. So make sure you get those subscriptions in there. Make sure you catch up with us on social media, and tell a friend something nice, and tell them to stop by over here. And we are just one of many University of Georgia shows, but we're the only one that's hosted by high school football coaches. So bear that in mind. If you want to hear two high school football coaches going on and on and on about Georgia football and Georgia basketball and Georgia baseball and Georgia athletics in general, this is the place for you right here. And hopefully we're going to do that more frequently, whether it's me sometimes and him and I as the main feature show, and the rest of the week is just me setting up shows for him. I'm going to try to slowly build this thing into something that I think is going to be a workable model. So I know our people at Believe will be excited about that. So no Israel tonight, but wish him well. Hopefully things are going well for him. But I'm Corey Burton. Thanks for listening. This is the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. We'll see you back here next time. But until then, go Dogs.